The town of Kerrville, Texas, was hit by a hailstorm straight out of a disaster movie. The sky turned pitch black, and an icy hell broke loose, with hail the size of tennis balls and even fists pounding everything. Cars were wrecked, windows were shattered, and roofs were punched through, as if someone from above had decided to play bowling with the town. Rescuers immediately sprang into action, armed with tools, pulling people out of mangled cars, some of whom were trapped under the rubble. One witness described how his neighbor had to be cut out of her car, so tightly was she pinned. City services were in full operation, with hundreds of fallen trees blocking roads and power lines hanging down like broken strings, leaving thousands of residents without power or heat. Police cordoned off areas where hail and destruction could kill curious onlookers. Residents unanimously say such a nightmare has not happened for decades. Some hid in basements, some prayed, and some filmed it all on their phones. The footage has already spread across the internet. Thanks to the coordinated work of services, victims were avoided, but Kerrville will lick its wounds for a long time. Now let's move to Brazil, the city of Itapecerica da Serra, not far from the metropolis of Sao Paulo. Here, nature also showed its teeth. Flash floods turned the streets into raging rivers, as if someone had opened a giant tap. The water gushed with such force that it carried the car right off the road. The driver miraculously managed to jump out, clinging to the branches. These images taken by eyewitnesses have already gone viral. The car is floating like a boat, and there is chaos all around. The rescuers worked in conditions where an ordinary person would not take a single step. In rubber boats, wetsuits, and with ropes they made their way through muddy streams to the flooded houses. People waved from the roofs, shouted from the windows. They were taken down one after another. One of the rescuers later admitted, the water rose so quickly that there was no time to think, only to act. City services rushed to clear the sewers and storm drains, which simply could not withstand the pressure. They were clogged with garbage and mud even before the rain began. The police closed the roads because cars began to be carried away like toys, and some daredevils still tried to drive through. The mayor of the city has already made a statement. They will figure out why the infrastructure failed, but for now, all efforts are thrown into helping people. The rescuers became real heroes, wet, tired, but not giving up. It was a test that Itapecerica da Serra will remember for a long time. Next up is Simferopol, Crimea, Russia. Here, a tragedy occurred that will make your blood run cold. A bus full of passengers crashed into a truck at full speed. 6 people died instantly, and 18 more were injured, from broken bones to severe bruises. The impact was so strong that both vehicles were turned into a shapeless heap of metal, as if they had been crushed by a giant press. Rescuers rushed to the scene in a matter of minutes. With hydraulic shears and jacks, they cut the paneling to pull out those who were still showing signs of life. One of the witnesses recalled hearing screams from under the wreckage. This was not for the faint of heart. Medics set up a makeshift hospital right on the road. IVs, bandages, stretchers, everything in motion to save as many people as possible. The police immediately began investigating. The first versions are that the truck flew into the oncoming lane. Whether the driver fell asleep or the equipment failed, this remains to be seen. Eyewitnesses say the road was slippery after the rain, and this could have played a role. City services quickly removed the debris to open traffic, but the road remained stained with blood and traces of the tragedy for a long time. Residents of Simferopol brought flowers to the scene of the accident, and social networks are full of condolences. This is a case where 1 second changed dozens of lives. Let's move to Moscow, Russia, to the elite residential complex Rosa Rossa in the very heart of the capital. Here a fire broke out, which became a real challenge for all services. The fire broke out suddenly and quickly engulfed several floors of the high-rise. Black smoke rose in a column. It was visible even from the outskirts of the city. Residents, and these are not ordinary people, but owners of expensive apartments, ran out into the street in panic in whatever they were wearing, some in pajamas, some with children in their arms. Some got stuck on the upper floors and waved from the balconies screaming for help. Firefighters responded with lightning speed. Dozens of cars with sirens, ladders, hoses. Some extinguished the flames from below. Others rose to the source of the fire. Helicopters joined in from the air, dropping tons of water on the roof. Rescuers evacuated hundreds of people. Some went down smoke-filled ladders holding onto the walls, and others were removed with the help of car lifts. One of the residents told how he almost suffocated while waiting for help. The smoke was so thick that it was impossible to breathe. The police cordoned off the block, dispersing crowds of onlookers with phones, and city services are already digging into the causes. A short circuit, old wiring, or maybe someone forgot to turn off the stove. So far, there are more questions than answers. Residents have lost millions in property, but everyone is alive, and this is the main achievement of the firefighters. Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky, Russia. This city on the edge of the world was covered by a snow nightmare. The snowfall fell with such force that overnight the snowdrifts grew to 2 meters, and in some places even higher. Cars got stuck right in the middle of the streets. People could not open the doors of their houses. The snow literally walled them up. Rescuers went to the front line. With shovels, snowmobiles, and even tractors, they dug up entrances, helped the elderly get out of apartments, pulled cars out of snowdrifts. One driver recalled how his SUV simply sank in the snow, and he had to call for help. City services threw all their equipment into the fight. Snow removal machines worked around the clock, but the snow fell faster than they could clear it. Pedestrians fell on icy sidewalks, and the wind blew away everything that was lying around. The police patrolled the roads, closed off dangerous areas, and warned drivers, "Don't take risks. The ice is merciless." Local residents were still in shock. Even old-timers don't remember such a snowfall. Someone jokes that Kamchatka has turned into a set for a film about the Ice Age, but thanks to the efforts of the services, the city is slowly coming back to life. Now let's go to the city of Traiguén, Araucania region, Chile. Here, a forest fire that started in the wilderness suddenly spread to residential buildings. The fire devoured everything in its path. Wooden roofs cracked like matches, and smoke covered the sky for kilometers. Rescuers rushed into the thick of the fire. In protective suits, with axes and hoses, they tried to save houses, leading people out of the fiery trap. One of the firefighters told how he pulled a child out of a burning house literally a second before the roof collapsed. City services brought in heavy equipment. Bulldozers cleared rubble and created fire breaks to stop the flames. The police evacuated entire blocks, knocking on every door and helping the elderly and families with children load into buses. The wind did not stop, throwing sparks further and further, but these guys did the impossible. Part of the city was saved, although the fight against the fire is not over yet. Let's move to Lapland, Finland. Here, the sky was lit up by the Aurora borealis, a mesmerizing spectacle that takes your breath away. Green and purple waves danced across the horizon, attracting tourists from all over the world. But the beauty turned into chaos. Crowds of people rushed into the tundra to take the best shots, and many got lost in the darkness. Rescuers launched an entire operation. On snowmobiles and with thermal imagers, they combed the icy expanses, finding those lost in the snowdrifts. One tourist, half frozen to death, was saved thanks to a sniffer dog that smelled him under the snow. City services set up temporary heating points along the roads, handed out hot tea and blankets, and the police closed dangerous paths to stop the flow of selfie lovers before a new wave of frost. This was not just Aurora, it became a survival test. A powerful snowfall and blizzard hit the Altai region of Russia, turning the region into a white desert. The wind howled like a beast, sweeping roads and houses up to the roofs. Visibility was zero, cars were stuck in snow traps, and people were lost 2 steps from their yards. Rescuers took to the streets with shovels and snowmobiles. They dug out cars, pulled people out of snowdrifts, and even pulled people off roofs who were trying to clear snow and fell in. One rescuer recalled how he spent 3 hours fighting his way to a family cut off by a blizzard. He had to pull a rope through the storm. City services threw snow removal equipment into the fight, but the snow was falling faster than it could be cleared. Tractors worked non-stop so that at least the main roads remained alive. Police patrolled in SUVs, handed out fuel and food to stranded drivers, and at the same time made sure that no one risked driving into the epicenter of the blizzard. Altai has proven nature is a tough opponent, but people don't give up. France, the commune of Schmaz in the Mayenne department. Here, a tornado was caught right on a CCTV camera, a terrifying sight. A black whirlwind tore trees by the roots and threw cars around like toys. In a matter of minutes, the village turned into chaos. Roofs were torn off, walls collapsed, and people hid in basements. Rescuers rushed to help. With saws and lifts, they cleared the rubble, pulled the wounded out from under the rubble. One man miraculously survived. He was found under a collapsed wall, pinned by a sofa, which softened the blow. City services rushed to restore the light. Wires were torn like threads, and thousands were left without electricity. The police cordoned off the area where the tornado left dangerous structures and helped evacuate residents to schools and gyms, which became temporary shelters. It was a blow of the elements from which France is still recovering. Indonesia. Here, lightning struck a tree so close that eyewitnesses are still in shock. The thunderclap deafened everyone around, and the tree flared up like a torch, threatening to spread the fire to neighboring houses. Rescuers rushed in immediately. With buckets and fire extinguishers, they put out the flames, while firefighters pulled hoses through the jungle. One of them almost got hit by a falling branch, but managed to jump away. The adrenaline was off the scale. City services cut off burning branches and removed smoking debris so that sparks did not fly further. The police cordoned off the area, warning locals to stay away from trees. The storm had not yet passed, and the risk of another strike was high. This was the moment when nature reminded, it can be beautiful, but deadly. In Japan, large forest fires have broken out in the Ehime and Okayama prefectures, forcing local authorities to evacuate about 2,800 people. In the city of Imabari, the fire started in the Nagasawa district and continues to spread, threatening residential areas. In Okayama Prefecture, the fire has engulfed about 250 hectares, threatening hundreds of homes. About 300 people, including firefighters and members of the Japan Self-Defense Forces, have been sent to fight the fire. Military helicopters are being used to extinguish the fire, dropping water on the fire. Rescue services are working around the clock to contain the spread of the fire and ensure the safety of the population. A large fire occurred in the Galeria Astor Shopping and Entertainment Center on Budyonovsky Prospect in Rostov-on-Don, Russia. The fire started at about 5:30 a.m., covering an area of 500 square meters. The fire quickly spread to the roof of a neighboring 5-story residential building, from which about 15 people were evacuated. The preliminary cause of the fire is considered to be a short circuit in a sign on the facade of the building. Thanks to the prompt actions of more than 100 firefighters and rescuers, as well as 29 units of equipment, it was possible to prevent further spread of the fire and extinguish the fire by 7:20 a.m. The head of the region ordered the preparation of a temporary accommodation center for evacuated residents.